what I tend to do with people is just say, okay, well, let's start with what your current diet is. So it depends on what they're trying to achieve. So if I go through their current diet, and to be honest, it doesn't really matter what their current diet is. So if you go, right, well, basically I eat crisps and I drink beer and that's it. Then we go, right, okay, well, there's a start, not necessarily the best start, but there's a starting point. So whatever the starting point is, this is what I'm trying to say to you. It doesn't matter. It's what you do with it in the future that's the important bit. Um, then I mainly want to find out what you're trying to achieve. So if you're like, well, I need to kick a habit, that's a really, really important one, and we'll go through that. I want to lose weight, which is probably 70% of what I'm asking, people are asking of me. I want to gain. So what about gains? So that's a completely different section of possibility of what you can do. But actually the majority of people, it's, I just want to get everything back under control, particularly post-Christmas, and just sort of say, right, okay, let's start fresh. It's all slipped. I've put on a bit of weight. It's not that dramatic, but I need to get things back under control. Now, a question that I have had from more than one person is about making this a lifestyle choice rather than making it just a quick fix. Yes, of course, you can do a quick fix and just sort of set yourself right for back on an even path. However, that's not necessarily long term, and it's also not necessarily something you're going to be able to keep up. So a kind of very, very quick drop the weight kind of fix is okay, but what you need is something that will take you through longer term as well. Now, there's a few people on the call who have definitely done that. So they've started somewhere and then they've realized that that works, and then they've taken that through. And that is the key, actually. That's the key. And this question about, look, how do I do a lifestyle change, not a diet, is a fantastic question. And it's one that is probably the most important thing. Like, I don't want to just go crash and then go back to my old habits. So let me discuss, first of all, habit changing, because this has applied to a couple of people on the call and a lot of people that I work with. Let me give you a few examples of habit changes. So it can be anything from really quite tough ones, like drinking and smoking, substance abuse. I'm not qualified for that, so I'm not going to go near that one. But things like sugar, that's probably the worst one. I have far too much sugar in my diet. I know I do. I'm pretty much a chocoholic. I can't really go without a piece of chocolate or something sweet in a day. Definitely not. I can't do it. So there's a really important one. And then there's other ones such as, and they are actually a little bit more serious and a little bit more difficult, but aspartame. So Red Bull, Diet Coke, that kind of genre there, really difficult, tough one. However, not impossible at all. So let's have a discussion on those. So let's take the easiest one, which actually isn't that easy, but sugar. What happens in your system is you have blood sugar levels, and they go like this throughout the day. Now, most of the time, most people's do undulate a little bit, and you'll have something to eat, and then they'll come up, and then you'll slowly bring them back down. You'll have something to eat, and they'll come back up. Now, what usually should happen at about every sort of 4 to 5 hours, your sugar levels will start to drop. So you eat, and then they come back up again, and then they start to come back down again. Now, what can happen, particularly if you have far too much sugar in your diet and you've really got out of control with it, is it peaks and troughs much quicker. So you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I almost feel sick. I literally, and I don't know whether all of us have, I certainly have had that in the past, where you just go, I've got to eat something or I'm going to vom. That's your sugar levels crashing, really quickly crashing. It can happen when you're really hungover as well, where you're just like, it's everything crashing on the floor. That's why it's doing that. So to have a real pep up, you will have, if you just reach for something sugary, or very, very high release carb, like a banana, it will prop you back up again. However, it doesn't last very long at all. So it'll be about an hour or two. Your sugar levels will come back up again. You'll feel a lot better, but then you'll start to crash again. So what I work with on people is trying to control that crash peak. So trying to level you out. Habits, pretty much any habits, take about between 24 and 30 days to break, depending on the severity of it and depending on your metabolism and you as a person. It usually takes about a month. So if you are trying really hard to break something, for God's sake, don't think that you're going to break it in a day. You won't. No one will. It's not, you're not being Superman or something like that. No one will break this in a day. Right, that's it, I've decided, and then you quit. You will get cravings, you will get lows, you will struggle. It's going to take a month. So that's the thing that I am first very, very clear with people on. Secondly, you don't need to go cold turkey on these things necessarily. It depends on your personality. So if you are, you know full well you have an addictive personality, you may need to go, right, I've got to. If I have one sip of something or one piece of chocolate or one anything like that, I'm going to slip back down again. However, if you know that you haven't necessarily got an addictive personality and you're like, well, no, I don't really tend to go extreme on stuff, cut it down. Just start cutting it down. Okay, so if you're like, for example, if you have a whole bar of dairy milk every day, guaranteed, try to start with 3/4 of that bar, then half the bar, then a quarter. Cut it down, because it's tricking your system into going, well, I've had a bit, oh good, and then I've had a bit, but I've still had a bit, oh good, and you're just basically cutting it right down. If, however, you know you have addictive personality, chop it out. You're going to feel like crap, and I'm telling you now, you will feel like crap for about 2 weeks, depending on the severity of it, but you will get over it. You will. It's just positive mental attitude. And again, that's where I come in. So if I'm guiding someone through quite a strong addiction, I will talk to them frequently and pull them back on the horse, because it can be quite tough. There are also other things that you can use. I will go into that later. I've got some things here that will even out your sugar levels over time. But first of all, to note, habits form within about a month and they unform within about a month as well. So don't be too hard on yourself if you're trying to kick a habit. Secondly, positive mental attitude, really, really, really super important. You can't go into this going, I might do it. You've got to want to do it. And that's absolutely anything. You have got to want to do this. If you're like, well, I'm not sure I'm bothered. For example, smoking. If someone has said to you, even a doctor has said to you, right, you need to stop smoking. If you don't want to stop smoking, if you don't want to give up Diet Coke, if you don't want to give up chocolate, you won't. You've got to want to, and really genuinely want to. But what you need to understand is why you're doing it, what that's doing to your system. So for example, sugar, it is actually really not very good for brain function at all, because it's forcing a peak and a trough, and your emotions will go all over the place. Everything's all over the place when there's too much sugar in your system. So if you can think why, so the why might be, I can't control anything, it's getting on my nerves, I'm putting on weight. Think of the why, and it's like with absolutely any kind of diet, and I don't really want to use that word because diet means nutrition, it doesn't mean on a diet. But if you are trying to lose weight, then you need to bring yourself back every single time to why you're doing this. So with a habit, why are you kicking that habit? Why do you want to kick the habit? Why is it important for you? So hopefully that helps with regards to kicking a habit. If there is a particular habit that you are looking to kick and you're finding it really, really hard, then obviously you can speak to me separately, and I can talk you through that in more detail, of which I am doing with a couple of you already anyway. Hopefully, does that make sense before I move on? Is that okay? Okay, fantastic. I've also had a question on, so going back to the question on lifestyle change, not crash diet. What you need to do is form the habit first. So say you're like, right, okay, that's it. I've had enough. I can't do this anymore. I'm not feeling very well. I'm actually feeling it's very, very detrimental to me what I'm currently putting into my system. I don't feel very well. I'm not feeling great. I just feel sluggish. I feel awful. I'm fed up, I'm bored, whatever the reason is, and everyone's got a different reason. Then you need to start with that habit changing first and then go into something longer. Now with sorry, dog in the background, forming more of a lifestyle choice, again, some of it's here, a whole chunk of it's here. You have got to want to do this, because changing your whole lifestyle on nutrition is actually quite tough and it will take a while. But what happens is, as soon as you're onto the right lifestyle, of which I will talk to you about a number of different ones, because there's lots of different things that you can do, is you've got to want to do it, and it's got to be okay for you, and you've got to see some results. So if you're starting with a habit change and you're like, right, that's it, I've got to cut the crap out, or I've got to stop drinking, whatever the thing is, do it, and then you'll see the benefit. And you'll start to see the benefit, but you won't see the benefit for at least a month or two. So you'll be like, what's the point of this? Then you'll start to see the benefit, and you'll be like, oh, either number of random things. I feel more energetic. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not knackered all the time. I'm not ill all the time. It will suddenly dawn on you that you feel less shit, is probably the best way of describing it. So you're not so ill, you're not so knackered, you're not so fed up all the time. You're also maybe losing a bit of weight, and you suddenly go, God, that top I put on, oh, it's not so tight anymore. I don't feel so rubbish in whatever I'm wearing. Now that's where you're starting to take your lifestyle down, not just the habit forming. So talking about different types of lifestyle choice that you can make with regards to nutrition, there are oh God, I can't even tell you how many different things in the plethora. And one of the questions was, Joe, from one of our colleagues, actually, there's loads of stuff on the internet. I might just look it up on YouTube. It's like, yeah, you can. That's Dr. Google. There are 1,000 things that you can think about there. Let me try to summarize a few of them for you. So again, I'm speaking to one person who has done, 2 people who have done this before. Keto. So keto is a diet choice. It is a certain way that you can go. You can go down calorie control. You can go down meal replacement. You can go down vegan, vegetarian, all sorts of different ways that you can control diet. But the whole thing is about control. Simple fact, and you don't really need me to tell you this, but the amount of times I do have to remind people of this. If you are looking to change your lifestyle and basically cut stuff down, and you're thinking, right, okay, well, I need to lose a bit of weight, a little bit of excess weight, or just get things a bit under control. It is calories in, calories out. Simple out. The more calories you put in, you have to bring them out. And to be losing weight, you have to be in a deficit. That's it. Now, how much of a deficit you need to be very, very careful with, because you can't be in too much of a deficit or you won't be able to function. But there's a window which I can discuss with you as to how much deficit you're in is where you will lose weight. That point there is where you will lose weight. You are not going to lose weight if you suddenly decide to go on a diet and not reduce your calories. So to give you an example, one of the options that I work with clients is meal replacement. If you had 250 calories worth of meal replacement shake, but then you didn't replace it, that's 250 calories more. So people think that they're on a diet. Oh yes, I do shakes. It's like, yeah, great. If you do shakes, that's fantastic. Are you replacing them or are you adding them? So I absolutely add them for people, but that's gains. So if I need to bulk someone up, they need to have a shake on top of the food that they're having. Now, a lot of people say, oh yes, I'm on a diet, I'm on Weight Watchers. Are you actually sticking to the points? Now, Weight Watchers, Slim Fast, all of those, Slimming World, they work. They absolutely work. They work for a reason, because they are calorie deficit. That's what they do. That's why they work, and that's why any of this works. So if you can think of the very, very simple premise of calories in, calories out, that will do you really, really well for future life. Now, calories out is with the other half of where I come in, of course, from the personal training. So I'm helping with those calories out. I also help my clients. It's not just on the day or days I see them, it's on the days that I don't see them. So what else are they doing? So what deficit are they in? Now, I talked about being in too much of a deficit. For example, women on average height, average build, average age, and average activity level should be on approximately, and it is approximately, and this is national, 2,000 calories. Now, 2,000 calories actually is quite a good amount of food. It's not nothing. And then gentlemen, depending on their size, are at least 2,500 to 3,000, depending on how tall you are, how big you are. So that's the average of what you should be in. So if you're thinking that, right, okay, for me, for example, I'm 5'6". I have a, well, apart from taking out the fact that I'm a personal trainer, I've got a couple of kids, I've got to run a house, I've got to run a job, all these things, normal stuff. 2,000 calories, okay. Now I know full well that if I have 2,000 calories, I'm definitely going to put weight on. However, for me, it's about 1,800 calories. So if you are sort of roughly, and just to give an example of someone on the call, Tasha Chandler Patel, not Keith, she's much more of a smaller frame than me. She's teeny, slightly shorter, much more of a smaller frame. She would not need 2,000 calories, definitely not, to function completely okay. It would probably be more like 1,600 calories, and she wouldn't even be in she would still not be in a deficit. So you have to take that into account. Joe, you're a bigger lad, you're going to need more than 2,500 to function. So we need to just sort of think about, right, what's your level, taking roughly the national average, and then come underneath that. So if you're trying to lose weight, then you need to come underneath your normal average, okay? Now, how much is quite important. I never say drop it by half, ever. So if you are normally on 1,800 calories, I would not ever tell you to drop that to about 900. You will not be able to function. You can do that for about a week before you get ill. Now, when I mean ill, I don't mean start coughing and everything. I mean not functioning. You'd be knackered, absolutely knackered. If you have got to run a household, kids, job, everything that everyone else normally has to do, you would not function on 900 calories. It is really too low. So a lot of people go, oh, I just cut my calories in half. No, please don't do that. It's drop them down. And I'd say maximum, and it depends, it depends on you, but maximum about 500 calories you're dropping. Because much more than that, and it's not sustainable. Now, one of the people on the call and I have had this conversation a number of times, and you can keep dropping, and you can keep dropping, and you can keep dropping, but it's not sustainable. So the difference between a quick fix and a lifestyle is maintaining that deficit, but that is maintainable. So any more than 500, and that's certainly for the boys more so, the girls are normally like 300, it's not sustainable. So for example, the only time I have said to someone, right, drop it right down is when they've got a sports photo shoot. And I did work with someone and they're a professional sports person, they're a professional rower. They had a photo shoot and it was quite an important one. And I hacked her right down, but it was for 2 weeks. That's it. So we maintained saying something else for 6 weeks, and then I dropped her right down for 2 weeks. And I've done that a number of times. It is not pleasant. It works, but it is very, very, very short term. So please don't think, right, that's it, I'm hacking my calories down, because you will not. Where do you go? Where do you go from there? Hopefully that's an important point. Maintaining that along further than that. So drop a little bit if you're asking to lose weight, but then it's what you're putting in. And that's the important bit. And again, with the habit forming, it will take a month or so for your body to go, oh, I'm okay with this now. So one is calories in, calories out. the other type is different types of ways of tricking really your body, one of which is keto. So I will go through keto very, very, very quickly. Keto is, it works on ketones, which are in your body. Very, very, very basic level. Your body uses a carbohydrate breakdown, which is glucose, to fuel your body. That's what everyone's body is fueled by. However, you can break down fat molecules to do the same thing. So what keto does is it uses the fat instead of the carbs to break down to fuel your body, which is completely acceptable. And then you're in something called ketosis. So you may have heard that. So I'm in ketosis. It's very, very difficult to remain in ketosis. And one of the people in this call will tell you that very categorically. But it's definitely a weight loss methodology. It's definitely a lifestyle methodology. It's just not necessarily one I would suggest that you maintain long term. There are benefits to keto, and it does work. However, the second, and I literally mean the second that you put something in your body that you're not supposed to, you will come out of ketosis and it will go wrong and you'll put on quite a lot of weight. So if you are thinking, oh, well, I've heard about this keto thing, please, we can have a separate call on that. Please talk to me beforehand, because there are definitely benefits of this and it will definitely work. It's just getting you back out of it, which is actually quite difficult. So if you're thinking that's what you want to do, we can certainly go down that route, but just pre-warning you. The other one is using, and this is a methodology that I use very frequently, is using a tracker. So I've got a very, very comprehensive full tracker. It's a little bit of a pain in the arse because you do have to fill it out every day at the end of the day, and you get used to it, but you've got to count your calories. So this is a standard methodology of counting calories. And there's a couple of people on the call that I have done this with for ages. It definitely works. I've done it years, and it keeps you under control. So this methodology is really, really good if you like data. If you're a data chicken and you're like, love a spreadsheet, love a bit of data, I love seeing what my body's doing, and you like the cold, hard evidence, a tracker is perfect. Now, it doesn't matter if it's not my tracker or any other. You can get an app, you can get all sorts of things that use this, but it's an absolute foolproof methodology. And what that basically is calories in, calories out, that one. There is not anything sort of magic elixir that you take or anything like that. It is, you are controlling what your weight is, what water you're consuming, every single thing that you do, that your body is doing, it tracks. And then you can see the results. So I have worked with a number of people, and it, again, you need to give it at least 3 months of tracking, and you can see the setting your goals, and then you can see how you're achieving your goals. So that is, again, another methodology. Another one that I wanted to discuss, which I have worked with a little bit more recently, is the meal replacement. So it doesn't matter what company you use, but I would always recommend, and what I'm talking about with meal replacements is shakes. So I've got a couple here. So this one is one of my friend's companies. So this is a protein, just a whey protein shake. This is one of the other companies that I work with. So a company called Isagenix, and this is their protein meal replacement shake. What it basically is it's a liquid form of anything you would be taking in a meal. And the reason that it works is, again, it's calorie controlled. So you have this one, for example, 250 calories per shake. It's measured out exactly, you know exactly what you're putting into your body, and it's highly, highly controllable. Now, more than one of you on this call already does this, and you know full well that actually it's convenience is the reason why this works really, really well. Pretty much everyone on this call is busy. You're busy, you've got loads to do, whether that's at work or with the kids or both. Everyone is too busy. And the reason that meal replacements work is because they adhere to convenience. So if, for example, you're like, look, I don't even have time for breakfast. I don't have time for breakfast. Lunch, if I'm lucky. Dinner, I'm starving hungry by dinner, and I'm snacking and eating a load of crap before dinner because I'm so hungry. Then I have dinner. I probably overindulge in dinner and have dinner rather than dinner. Then I feel really bloated by the end of it, and I'm knackered, and then I go to bed. So it's all sat there. So what this does is, first of all, it evens out your sugar, because you're having little things in between. Every sort of 3 to 4 hours you're having something to eat, and that even out your sugar, so you're not plummeting and peaking. Secondly, it's and very much importantly, it's convenient. So even if you don't have literally do not have time when the shops are open to go down to the shops to get lunch, because you're like, I literally can't even stop. It takes about 5 seconds to make this thing. Plop, water, there, done. There is no faff. There's no washing up. There's no, cooking something that takes half an hour. It's easy. And then you are controlled. And that's another thing that's really, really important to people. They love it. Control. Right, I've had 250 calories, easy, boom, breakfast, done. Lunch, right, have that and one of those and some of this, great, done. I've got 250 calories plus my diet. It's easy. It's really, really easy. So you know exactly. If I say to you, right, for you to lose weight, Jo, you need to be in 1,500 calories. Okay, right. So 2 shakes and a meal that's that. Right, done, boom. I don't need to think about it. So that's why that works. So there are literally different ways of controlling your calories. That's just one of them. Now, I wanted to very, very quickly discuss, because of 3 people on the call, as to which one. Now, be super careful with the meal replacement that you choose. There are some real cheapies out there, and you think, oh, great, well, I'll just go for the cheapest one. They're all the same, aren't they? No, they're not. Just be really, really careful what's in them. So you can choose... I know this is going to sound like detrimental to someone who's, hasn't got paid yet in January. Don't go for the cheap one. They're normally they haven't got the right stuff in them. They're normally just propped up with milk powder, basically. So it's bulked up to give you the amount that you need, but not necessarily the nutrients that you need. So just be careful and have a look at the back. That should have an absolute minimum. So it should be protein heavy, very, very high protein, at least 15 grams worth per thing should be protein entirely. Now, depending on what that protein's made up of as well. So the one I've got here, this is actually vegan. Some of them aren't. Isagenix do a lot of different ones, but it's vegan, but it's propped up with lots of different things that are vegan friendly, for example. Some of them taste disgusting as well, so just be super, super careful with that one. The last thing you'd want is, if you're having at least 1 of these a day, 1 to 2 of these a day, is it tasting disgusting? You won't have it. You just won't have it. So just ensure that you do actually like the taste. One of the people on the call at the moment, they've got a few flavors on the go as well. So I, for example, have got 3 flavors. So I'll mix them all up and sort of go, right, I'll have one of those today, one of those. Just make sure that you're not bored, because you won't do it. If you add things, so you can have the shake, but if you add stuff to it, like berries of some description, or I don't know, oats, anything like that, there's loads of things you can add in. Make sure that you don't still think that's 250 calories. Of course it's not. So you're like, right, add some blueberries in, some raspberries, lovely, great, I've still got 250. No. You've probably had about 350 calories then. So just make sure that you're adding in the calories of what you're adding in, to make it taste different. So that is a way of making it taste different, but remember, you've had probably 350 calories, not 250 calories. Also, just be aware of the calories. So some of them go from about 180 calories up to about 300 calories. Be very, very aware of what the calorie intake is, and make sure that you make it properly. So if it says 2 scoops and you add 3 scoops, it's not 250 calories. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but I've had a lot of people do that. Like, oh yeah, I had my shake with John. And it's like, how did you make that? And the other way, well, they've actually only had 1 scoop. And I did have a client who was like, it's not that nice. It's really watery. I was like, really? Did you make it up based on the packet? I don't know. Well, Actually, I didn't. So I had a pint and I put half a scoop in. That's gonna, first of all, taste disgusting. And secondly, what is that? Not even 100 calories. So she was like, I was really hungry afterwards. I was like, well, it's because you didn't. So be aware of how many calories are in each one. Be aware of the fact that you're going to get bored with the taste, so try and mix it up a bit. And be aware of how you make it, because it's important that you make it to how it's supposed to be made, because you will not like it otherwise, or it won't be correct. So there's just an example of a few different methodologies that you can use. But the main thing I want you to get out of this is calories in, calories out. Okay, so if you do no exercise, nothing, as in your work relies you on sitting down at a desk all day, and you don't even get up to go for a walk, you might get up just to get a drink and go to the loo, your calories out are going to be a lot lower than if you go for a walk, even just go for a walk, or go for a run, or go to the gym, or all of those other things that you do. Bear in mind they're calories out. So again, if you're in too much of a deficit, if you're on 1,500 calories and you go to the gym 3 times a day, you're going to need more calories, because you're going to burn 1,500 calories. Now, another question that I get is, do I eat my calories that I've burnt? I would say normally no. So if you say, for example, you went to the gym and you burnt 500 calories and you've eaten 1,500 calories, you will be in more of a deficit. Don't do it unless this is why I review it with everyone. Don't do it unless you're really, really hungry. So if you get home from the gym and you're like, I'm literally going to eat my own arm, then you're in too much of a deficit. So then you need to, right, okay, I'll have a shake, for example, just prop myself up by a couple of 100 calories. If you are perfectly okay and you feel perfectly okay in the day and you're like, yeah, I feel fine, then don't eat them back again. Don't eat the deficit back again. You don't need to. So take a judgment call. And again, this is one of the things I do with clients. Take a judgment call on how you're feeling. So if you're like, I can't cope, I'm going to the gym and I'm having my calories and I'm starving. You should not be starving. Don't ever starve yourself. It's foolish. And it's also, we're talking about lifestyle here. It's not long-term. It's not a good idea at all. You should never feel absolutely starving. Mildly hungry when you start this, absolutely fine, because your body's getting used to it and your sugar levels are petering out. But absolutely starving, no. That means you've got the calorie levels wrong. And again, that's what you would talk to me about and go, oh, this isn't right. Okay, well, you're having 200 too less. Have something more. Have some carrots. Something like that, and I'll even you out again. Does all of that make sense? Because that's quite a large lump of information, but hopefully it does make sense with regards to sort of how to stretch this more lifestyle and think about the different methodologies that you could use. And I'm very, very happy to go through in more detail any of the methodologies. There's a few people on this call that actually are going to do one of the methodologies that I've suggested. They're just about to start. So again, I will go through that in a little bit more detail, but not all of you are doing that. So I didn't want to sit there and waste your time on that one. Something else that I think is underestimated very frequently is hydration. How much water you have in the day, or in general. The average that you should have, and this is for usual activity level. So someone who is, very, very, very inactive, then it can be a little bit less. But it should be about 2 litres of water, 2 litres. So that's actually, it's not 2 pints, that's a lot less, 2 litres. I've got my 2.5 litre bottle over there, it's quite big. A trick that I do, and I've literally, I've done it even this morning. I've got my pint glass, but what I've actually got is, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, it's a 2.5 litre bottle, and you can buy them like literally anywhere. It's the amount that you should have in one day in a bottle, just one bottle. So what I do is in the morning, I will fill that bottle up and I will just keep putting the water in it for my pint glass or glass, well, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be a pint glass. That is a really, really easy trick to be able to know that you're having enough water. And actually, you may be really, really pleasantly shocked, um, unpleasantly shocked, sorry, as to how little that you are actually having. Now, I know some of you drink plenty, and that's fantastic. There's massive levels of benefits to drinking enough water. And I know every single professional will say, you need to drink more water. But why do you need to drink more water? So if you understood the why in the first place, you might be like, okay, we are 70% water. We have got to rehydrate all of the cells, all of them in our body. Hence, we're having to have water. Now, if you feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated. If you don't like water, some people they just literally I don't want the taste of water, it's disgusting, it's boring, it tastes metallic, all of these things that people come up with. I don't like water, I don't drink water. So what they do is I said, well, there's water in my tea and coffee. It's like 90% water, there's a tiny bit of milk and yes, theoretically. So if you had 8 cups of coffee a day, normal coffee, not decaffeinated coffee, Natasha. She doesn't anymore, by the way. Yeah, cheers.
No, because when you're too busy drinking water, you can't drink any more coffee. I hate the water comment because it's so true. So as most of you know, Rebecca, you all know that she lives off of fairy dust and, you know, the joy of life. But the water thing is serious. Like, I hate how much, like, even my brain, which sounds dumb because you're like, no shit, it's hydration. But like, my brain functions so much better when I have like properly fully drank an excessive amount of water. Even my partner, who is like against absolutely everything healthy humanly known, when she stays hydrated, she's like, wow, like everything fits better. I'm like, no shit. Anyway, yeah, the water thing's like legit.
Thank you, darling. It's there's benefits that are well over and above, and you're like, what's that got to do with, as Natasha said, brain function? You are more alert when you've had more water. It's not that's weird, it's a fact. It literally, you are more alert if you've had water, particularly the second half of the day. So the second half of the day, we're all knackered. Let's face it, you know, you've had lunch, you're sort of winding down. That 3 p.m, like, oh God, I still haven't finished. I haven't even remotely finished, and I'm knackered now. First of all, if you even out your sugar levels, you won't be. And secondly, if you have enough water, particularly in the second half of the day, you will not be so knackered. It's an absolute fact. I've tried and tested this a number of times. Also, weird things like skin. You're like, suddenly you realize that your skin looks like less knackered looking. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm of a certain age now, so my skin will naturally look slightly knackered. It has worked for 40 years, yes. However, having enough water, you'll suddenly realize, you'll look at your skin and be like, oh, it's more plump, look at this, as opposed to, oh, I just look knackered all the time. It will freshen the way you look, really weirdly, but it will. And you will have the sort of less knackeredness, it's more energy. You will feel more energetic. And honestly, just try it. 2 litres feels, if you have not had 2 litres or anywhere near 2 litres, it will feel a lot. Now, one thing, if I know this isn't a problem for some of you, so apologies if I'm sort of teaching you to suck eggs on this one. You will pee like a racehorse, and I can't, it's weird. Your body will at first not be used to soaking it up. So basically it'd be like shriveled. The only way to describe it is sort of something shriveled, and it sort of just goes through, and then eventually it sort of goes like this, and it is sort of like a sponge, and it kind of just goes, oh, okay, and then it will soak it up, and then you don't need the loo as much. But again, it will take a good few weeks. So just don't give up on having that much water. But the trick for me that I've found works really, really well is having the water in front of you and looking at it and going, right, okay, I'm halfway through that water. Have it on your desk, have it there right next to you. There's no excuse. Thank you, John. Just keep sipping through it, and you'll suddenly realize that you're 3/4 of the way through it, and it's 6 o'clock and you're like, yeah, I just got one more pint to go, brilliant, and then you're fully hydrated, and that's just what you repeat every day.
John's jealous of your skin. He's trying to get that Rebecca skin. Right?
Okay.
That's what he's doing.
Dust. It helps.
Botox.
Oh, and Botox, yeah. If you don't like the taste of water, so really to kind of have a think about that one. Please don't go and put squash in it. Because, yes, Natasha, because it's got sugar in it, which will stop for you to do that. Now the no sugar one, yeah, but I don't have the sugar one. It's got aspartame in it, so it will do that. Try super hard not to flavor it with squash, because it will start to ruin your sugar levels, no matter what sort of squash it is. Something that's really helpful, I relatively frequently do, not all the time, but if you like orange, you're like, well, it's orange squash, it tastes like orange. Get an orange and put a slice of orange in the water. It will still taste orangey, or lemon, or lime, or mint, or anything like that. Basically, make yourself up a little fruit cocktail, stick it in there, and yes, it's still a little bit of sugar, because fruit has got sugar. It's natural fructose sugar. It's nothing in comparison to anything else that's man-made. But you're not actually eating the fruit, so you're taking the essence of it in, so it's absolutely nothing in comparison to actually eating the orange. Not at all. It just mildly flavors the water. So if you can get those diffuser things inside bottles, so you stuff them with loads of different things, and you just whirl it around, and it makes it taste nice. But you can also get fruit teas that do the same thing. Personally, I don't like them, but some people really like it. But it does flavor it again. So it's cold infusion, it's called. They're an option if you don't like the taste of water. But I cannot emphasize this enough. Try and get to at least 2 liters down you. And for the boys, if you've gone to the gym as well, more. And on a hot day, more. So that's 2 liters on a normal day, not on a 30-degree day, which we do have on occasion. Another question, does that make sense, first of all?
Oh, and then one last small tiny tip from the only thing that I'm an expert about, which is water consumption. Lots of people have Brita filters and they're convinced it's the only way they can drink water. I'm a weirdo and hate the taste of Brita water, but I can drink it out of the tap. I know that sounds crazy, but like, if that's a thing for you, remember tap water is safe.
Yeah, this is actually tap water. I do actually have a filter as well, but I've decided on tap water. Definitely 2 schools of thought on that one. So if you are finding it, it depends on where you are in the country as well, because we've got different people across the country today. If your water does taste metallic, or sort of has got a not so good taste in it, you can obviously filter it, and you don't have to have a filter on your tap. As Natasha said, you can buy a Brita jug and put it through, and it takes a lot of the stuff that they add in there out of it. So you might want to try that, because you don't like the taste of water because of what's delivered in your tap, not because it actually tastes like water. So yeah, that's a really good tip. Try that. If, however, you like the taste of tap water, then you don't have to do that at all.
What about fizzy water, Rebecca? Is that okay?
Yes, fizzy water is absolutely fine. The only thing I find, particularly with my husband, is it makes him burp. It drives me mental. So I personally don't like it, not because of the burping situation, just because it feels funny. Yes, there is nothing added in to sparkling water that isn't not for you, not at all. That's absolutely fine. So if to get around, that's a really good question, though, Hannah. If to get around that, the fact that you don't like normal water and you prefer sparkling, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
I like both. I pretend it's Coke, Diet Coke.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. You pretend it's tonic, a bit of gin. Exactly. Now, on that, with regards to alcohol, we have just been through the worst alcoholic period of the year. And it might be the case that you're like, right, okay, well, look, I don't want to not drink. And I actually never say to people, don't drink unless they're doing a sports shoot. In that case, don't drink. If it's the amount that you drink and also what you drink. So if you're like, look, okay, a little bit different at the moment, but I'm a social being. I want to go out when we're allowed out. I want to go out and, you know, I want to go to the pub with my friends, but what am I supposed to choose? What's the least worse thing that I can choose? There is a marked difference between, for example, the worst is Guinness. That's about the worst thing you could drink. It's about 1,000 calories a pint. They say it's a meal in a pint glass for a reason. It's because it is literally about 1,000 calories, through to a slimline gin and tonic. So if you've got the scale, the beers and cidery things are down one end of the scale, which is not so much, really not great, through to spirits. So wine is in the middle, and then you've got spirits at the other end. Now, spirits are stronger, so you do need to be extremely careful. You couldn't have 5 pints and 5 spirits and feel that it's the same. It's not. The alcohol content obviously is completely different on that. However, if someone sort of says to me, which very frequently people do, well, I'm out, what am I supposed to drink? A slimline gin and single gin and tonic with, you know, all the fruits in it and ice is the best thing that you could order. With regards to calories, it's not very many calories. It's under 100 calories per glass. It's not that bad at all. It has still got the alcohol content and it has still got some sugar, but nothing in comparison to anything else that you could order. So that question answered, if you did want to go, well, what am I supposed to choose? Okay. That's the decision. Try really, really hard to stay away from hefty pints because they are really, really calorific, really calorific. And actually, that's one of the first things that I do, and sort of say to someone, okay, what is it that you drink? What's your alcohol poison of choice? And if it's making that swap, it will make a huge difference. A lot of people say try not to drink your calories. Try really hard not to drink your calories because it's wasted calories. They don't do anything positive for your body. Now they might do for your mind, but they don't actually replenish your body in any way. All it does is dehydrate you. So another trick that actually my sister is very, very good at, and some really nice bars are really, really good at. Drink water. So just keep swapping them. So if you've had a gin and tonic, have a water, then have a gin and tonic, then have a water. And that it's the habit of doing this when you're in the pub with your friends. It's not actually what you're having. So try to, if you're thinking, look, you know, I really want to take this seriously and I really want to lose some weight, try not to drink your calories. And if you're going to do that, have water in between to keep you hydrated. And then there's less loss. Does that make sense? Cool. One final thing before I open up the floor is a question about healthy snack ideas. So it depends on what you're trying to achieve, but there are definitely healthier snack choice options rather than sort of reaching for the things that you would normally. I think the trick on any kind of new diet or anything along those lines is preparation. So prep. Make sure one of the people on the call has done this only a few days ago, out of request, is go shopping, get rid of the crap, and make sure you've got the right stuff in your cupboards. Because if you surround yourself with the correct things, you are going to reach for them as opposed to reaching for the thing that you shouldn't be. Get it out of your house. Okay, even take a week or so to get it out of your house, but get it out. And then you surround yourself with the correct things. Now, examples of the correct things with regards to snacks. This person can't have them because they're allergic, but nuts. Nuts are a very, very good snack source. And when I say nuts, I mean that many, not that many, and not dry roasted and covered in crap. Those cashews that have got that, oh my God, I know they're really nice. However, that's not what I'm talking about. The best, there are a few different nuts which are particularly good for different parts of your system and your body, brain activity, protein levels, so muscle repairing. The best ones I found, and I think taste really nice are almonds. So normal almonds, raw almonds, nothing to do with salted, roasted, anything like that. They're just normal raw almonds that you can buy anywhere. Just get either, I find really useful, those little tiny packs that they're single use packs. So just have one of those, or buy a pack and then just take a handful. And it's your own handful as well, not that, just a handful. That's how much you should have with regards to snacks. If you want to pick them out, it's about 8 to 10 almonds is a snack. They are really, really high in protein. So if you are exercising and you're looking to, ensure that your body is being as efficient and as effective as possible, the proteins help to repair your muscles. So you've been working really hard, and in effect, you're ripping the muscle fibers. They help to build them and grow them. Now, I'm not saying you have some almonds and you'll suddenly be out here, of course not, but they help to repair what you've just damaged, and you've damaged it on purpose. That's the point of exercise, but they repair them very efficiently. They satisfy hunger quite well. So nuts are actually quite substantial, and you have a few nuts and you're like, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. Whereas if you have a few crisps, you're still starving. So there's obvious ones to avoid, like crisps and chocolate and biscuits. That's very obvious. The only thing they're doing is propping up your sugar levels. They are not helping your positive calorie intake. They're not helping at all. All they're doing is satisfying the sugar rush. So if you can avoid that, the nuts will even you out as well. So nuts are really good. If, however, you happen to be allergic to nuts, then Greek yogurt is actually a really, really good one as well. And again, it's all quite convenient. So you can have little pots of these things, and if you've got to go to work, take them to work. It's not difficult to transport these things. Greek yogurt is because it's actually very, very, very low in sugar. So in fact, most of it's 0% sugar. You can add things like berries or a little bit of honey, which is natural sugar, obviously, you're adding in there. If you don't like the taste of just plain Greek yogurt, because it can be quite tart. But it is excellent. Again, very high protein level, very, very low sugar level, but also it's got a good amount of fats. So nuts and yogurt have got a really good level of good fats that you need to help your system be efficient. A piece of fruit, nothing wrong with a piece of fruit. If you're going to choose a type of fruit, go for berries rather than something really, really carby like a banana. Now, bananas have their use. There are about 110 calories, just to bear in mind. So if you add them into your smoothie or add anything in, you're adding 110 calories as an average banana. But you also, you're adding a good level of potassium as well. So just be sparing on banana, because it is actually quite high carb if you are trying to lose weight. Anything in between, so apples, citrus fruit, absolutely fine, but just don't have loads of them. So if you aim for about 1 to 2 pieces of fruit and at least 5 pieces, and again, the government tell you this, at least 5 pieces section of vegetables, maximum 2 pieces of fruit. If you're going to choose fruit, berries are better, lower in sugar. The other things that are a little bit less convenient, but also really helpful, are things like eggs. So if you did a boiled egg, that's a great snack. You can buy things that are prepared, so like protein bars and sort of, protein snacks, like little ball things and things like that. Again, they're absolutely fine, and just be aware of the sugar level in them. And that is the sugar replacement, not just sugar. So there's, things that make it taste sweet. Protein bars are absolutely fine. Just remember, again, they're around 200, 250 calories. So if you're having a snack and you have, I don't know, a few grapes and a bit of yogurt, that the protein bar is going to be more. So just bear in mind what you're having throughout the day. So just have in mind a protein bar, the average protein bar is about 250 calories. Okay, so just that's what you're consuming. There's nothing wrong with it. That's what you're consuming. And just take a look at the back, because some of them, the cheap ones, are full of crap. So again, go for ones that are very, very popular. Grenade. They've got lots and lots and lots of different flavors, loads of different flavors. They're absolutely fine, but just try not to have too many of them, and certainly not more than 1 a day, because they have got fats and sugars in them that you shouldn't have all the time. So that's my good snack suggestions. And again, there are snacks that you can buy, and just as long as you are aware of what the calories are. But snacks should be no more than 250 calories per snack. My recommendation is breakfast, snack. Breakfast, probably around 7-ish. Snack around 10-ish. Lunch around 12 to 1. Snack again around 3. Dinner around 6 or 7. Try not to eat after that. If you are doing a massive, you know, if you're training for a marathon or something like that, you need to have a third snack after that, which is something like avocado. But that's not the normal person. So if you're doing something specific, I would give you something specific. But to run through that again, breakfast, morning. Make sure you have breakfast. It's fueling your day. Don't skip it. Please don't skip it. 10 o'clock snack, around 250 calories. Lunch, at lunchtime, of course. Do make sure you have lunch again. Oh, I forgot. No, have lunch. Even if it's a protein shake, have lunch, because you'll be knackered. Snack in the afternoon around 3-ish. Dinner around 6, 7. Try not to eat after that.
So don't have coffee as lunch. That's not acceptable, is what you're
Coffee as lunch is not acceptable. We've discussed this for years. It is not acceptable. Now, another question that I get is how many coffees and teas should I have a day? It is not, not 10 is not the answer. My response is usually 1 to 2. Not none. You don't have to have none. You can have some, you can have a cup of coffee. The best time to have a cup of coffee is in the morning, because the caffeine will, it will prep you up and get you going for the day. And then often people tend to have another one straight after lunch or something like that, before 3 o'clock. Try not to have it too late, otherwise it will keep you awake. It's not have none though. You don't need to cut out caffeine entirely. It has a benefit. It's just try to keep it to 1 to 2 maximum. If you don't need it, don't have it. Absolutely not. But if you're like, look, mate, I can't even function without coffee, have a damn coffee, If you want to break that habit, you go into the 30-day habit breaking cycle thing. If not, then 1 to 2 is my answer. Right, I'm going to open this out to the room. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Please unmute yourselves. If there's something either that I've gone through and you're like, you went through that too quickly, can you explain that again? Or could you go into more detail on something? Or I've got a specific question that you haven't answered. Please, this is your time. I am aware that it's 11 o'clock if everyone is still okay for time. Anyone got any questions? Or you can, yes.
What about almond milk instead of almonds? I don't like almonds, but I do drink almond milk.
Yeah, almond milk's fantastic. I drink it as well. It's a fantastic sauce. It's the same level of sauce as almonds. The trouble is, it's just drinking a glass of almond milk, I think I'd struggle with. But if you can put it with something, then yes, by all means. I have mine with oats. So if you've got enough calories to have the oats, I would have that in the morning. And then you've got the almond milk in there. The only thing with that is that that's not a snack. That's the only thing. So if you're perfectly okay to have a glass of almond milk, that's your snack. That's absolutely the same. If you're not, then add it into something that you're having earlier or later on in the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is everything I've said?
Sorry, I had a question actually. With regards to the meal replacements.
Yeah.
Would you recommend them as a weight loss or as a lifestyle choice? Because I actually have absolutely no issues whatsoever in losing weight. I'm actually really good at it, but I'm even better at immediately putting the weight back on again. So to put that into very, very specific context, 2020, I lost 4 stone. I've subsequently put 3 stone back on in the latter part of, and so losing weight I can do very easily, but I just immediately put it back on again. So my raising the question about lifestyle choice and saying, right, this year I'm not doing any crash diets. I'm not going to lose weight quickly. I want to implement something that I can just effortlessly keep up. So the thing about meal replace, it just sounds, is that can you do that as a lifestyle choice? Can you be having 2 meal replacements every day for the rest of your life? And is that sustainable, and is it healthy?
That's a really, really good set of questions. So let me break that down. So the answer in short is yes, you can do it long term. And very, very many people do, and including some of my clients. I understand what you're saying about the sort of meal replacement. It sounds like, well, you're temporarily replacing it and then you're going to go back to it. It does theoretically sound like that, and people do use it to just get a little bit of under control for 30 days, you know, like, right, okay, I'm gonna crash diet. It's actually not a crash diet if you do it correctly. But yes, people do use it like that. They absolutely do use it like that, and just go, right, yeah, I'm just going to bring it down for a bit, use a few stone, and then I'll bring it back up. And that's, Joe, that's exactly what happens. As soon as you stop it, it comes back on again. So the way that I do it, and the way that one of the companies that I use do it, is it is definitely a long-term lifestyle choice as well. It's a different way. So you're not necessarily replacing 2 meals, although you can replace 1. So you can do the 30-day detox and, you know, cut it, get yourself right back down into controlled situation, and then you go into the maintenance phase. Maintenance phase can be quite different. However, you can replace the meals permanently. What's in it, and that's why I said you need to be careful of what's in it. What's in it needs to be the correct amount of things for your system. So just to give you an example, just because I've got it here, the Isagenix shakes have got the correct amount of things in to make you nutritionally balanced. However, it's part of a system. So the system will also give you, and this is, again, just because I've got it here, this stuff. So this is, it's a drink, and you have like a little tiny shot of it. That's a vitamin and minerals supplement drink. So if you're having the shakes, there's certain things that you do need to have with them to ensure that it's longer term. And I know a lot of people who've been on this for years, and no negative detrimental things in any way. It doesn't have to be this system. But just to give you an example, I've been on that for, God, 8 months, 7-8 months. And I've quite honestly never felt better. Just the amount of stuff I've got to do, and I do it, and I do it perfectly okay.
Do you still follow it with the sort of thing that you said there, breakfast? Do you still snack between it? Or
yeah, so that they have specific snacks that you use, or you
right.
can use the snacks that it doesn't make any difference. It's more about the calorie intake of the snacks and the nutritional benefits of those snacks. Hence, certain snacks, all the snacks they give you, they'll have the same nutritional value and roughly the same calorie intake. So again, it's a system that's done for you. That's why that works, because it's easy, it is done for you. If, however, you don't want to subscribe to that, you can absolutely do it yourself, but it's more difficult because you've got to measure the calories and measure what you're doing. But again, that's my job. That's my job, to do that for you and go, Joe, there you go. So whichever one you subscribe to, you just need to track what you're doing. So it's either that one that does it for you, or you do it yourself with a tracker. It is a long-term option. Some people don't use it as a long-term, and they just, as I said, they just use it to bring everything back under control. However, this absolutely can be a long-term one as well.
And it sounds a bit of a, I guess this is a rhetorical question, but with it, do you tend to avoid the sort of crashing after eating energy-wise? After having these meal replacements?
That's exactly,
because that's another big thing for me, is whatever I eat, I seem to have huge fatigue about an hour after it. So does it help with that?
It certainly does, but it depends on, we'd have to go through things in a bit more detail, because it may well be that you've got some intolerances there. So the reason that I'm on the vegan one is because I'm intolerant to about 4 things, including gluten. So I'm quite bad as well. So I can't have the normal one. And if we went through this in detail, Joe, I would probably suggest the same thing. If you are badly bloated or crashing or like, oh my God, I literally knackered, what we do is take a look at your lifestyle. So I'd go through and be like, right, what are you doing that's making you knackered? Is it something in particular? Or are you crashing after food? So if you're crashing after food, it's like, well, actually, you're very likely to be gluten intolerant. If you're having, I don't know, for example, maybe it might be relatively healthy, but a pasta dish, which is normal pasta, not gluten-free pasta, and you're like, I'm literally knackered. I can't even, that's very much what happens to quite a lot of people, including someone else on the call, actually. And she was finding literally just can't function. As soon as you've eaten a level of meal, you can't function at all. So you go, right, okay, well, that's not normal. That's actually not a normal situation. Let's peel that back. The situation is that you're actually intolerant to a few things that you're actually consuming. So I would take that back one and go, actually, we need to stop what you're consuming there so you're not so knackered, but this will help as well. However, we need to be careful on which one you're on. So for example, for yourself, Joe, if we found out that you actually, after just a bit of research, you have got a gluten intolerance, which can be tested as well, I'd put you on the vegan one. Because there's no reaction you can possibly have, and believe me, if I don't have a reaction, no one will. It will not react with you in any way, so we'd put you on that one instead.
Beck, I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to leg it because I've got Tom nagging me to hurry up and my tablet's about to die. But thanks very much for doing this and letting me know about it. It has been really interesting. It has been really, really good.
Oh, you're welcome, my darling. Well, I will see you on Sunday anyway, Amy, and we can discuss more about. Amy is just about to go into the Isagenix thing, so I will talk to you about that more, my darling, on Sunday.
Okay. Lovely. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for joining, sweetheart. Take care.
Bye. Bye.
So if anyone else does want much more specific detail, then all of you guys are doing different things. So there will be nuances, and that's actually why nutritionists and dietitians exist, because there are nuances. But hopefully what I've said will help in general, because there are some very definite similarities between absolutely everyone and how bodies in general function. But if you did want to take anything, I'm very happy to stay online now. If you did want to take anything offline and discuss in more detail, please let me know. It's my job. So I'm very, very happy to help if you want. Are there any other final comments or questions that I can address quickly for you now? No? Okay, cool. All right. Well, a massive thank you to joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. This has been recorded, so if there's any, if you want it again, I can by all means send it. Joe, I'm going to be sending this out to the group as well. If hopefully it'll be of help. And if you do want to address anything separately, then of course we can arrange something for yourself specifically. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year, everyone, and look forward to hopefully speaking to you. Well, I'll see most of you very shortly anyway. Thanks.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Cheers, bye.
See ya.